The Honor of Bani Hassan, The Folly of Scorn and the Price of Pride. A chronicle of tribal justice and the shadow of the crescent moon. Our story unfolds in the region of Awaz, in southern Iran, a land inhabited by numerous Arab tribes who have preserved their ancestral customs for centuries. At its heart, this narrative serves as a stark warning: never underestimate the dignity of a man, nor treat the perceived weak with derision. Within the plains of Awaz, two Arab tribes dwelt as neighbors. One, known as Bani Zaid, was formidable, boasting superior numbers and an abundance of weaponry. The other, Bani Hassan, was smaller in stature and less equipped. In the year 1970, the emir of Bani Zaid, a chieftain named Sheikh Faisal, was traversing the lands when he encountered a solitary shepherd from the Bani Hassan tribe. The shepherd carried a rifle, a necessary companion to guard his flock against the predations of wolves and thieves. Without provocation, Sheikh Faisal approached the man, began to insult him, struck him, and forcibly seized his weapon. The shepherd pleaded, "O Sheikh Faisal, I implore you, return my rifle and cease these blows. I have committed no act to warrant such treatment." Sheikh Faisal sneered in response, "If there are truly men within your tribe, let them come and wrest this steel from my hands. But as for you and your kin, I see no men among you." The shepherd returned to his people, his heart heavy with humiliation. When his tribesmen saw his condition, they asked, "What has befallen you?" He replied, "I bring news of sorrow," and recounted the assault and the stinging insult Sheikh Faisal had cast upon the honor of Bani Hassan. The men of Bani Hassan burned with indignation. "Did he truly claim there are no men among us?" they demanded. The shepherds swore it was so. A profound sadness settled over them, for they knew that peace with Bani Zaid had been fractured. They gathered to deliberate with reason, noting, "If we attempt to reclaim the rifle by sheer force, a bloody war will erupt. Yet, if we remain idle, the stain of Faisal's words will haunt us as a mark of eternal shame." Then, a man named Caliph, renowned for his quiet courage, stood before the assembly. "O my people," he declared, "leave the matter of the weapon to me. I shall see it restored." The tribe rejoiced, though some cautioned him to be patient, while others urged him to act with strategic wisdom. Caliph replied firmly, "I know the path I must take. Only promise me this: none of you shall interfere." To this, they agreed. At daybreak, Caliph sent a messenger to Sheikh Faisal with a specific challenge: "Tell the sheikh that Caliph shall come for him on the night of the 14th, referring to the night of the full moon. In the lore of the desert tribes, this was a declaration of supreme gallantry. Thieves and cowards strike under the veil of darkness, but a true challenger comes when the moon is at its brightest, making himself visible to all." Sheikh Faisal received the message with a laugh, saying, "I am ready for him. Let him come whenever he desires." Caliph did not specify which month he would come, leaving the threat to hang over Faisal like a ghost. He waited until word reached him that Bani Zaid was celebrating a grand wedding on the 14th of the current month. "This is the night," Caliph whispered. He knew that for such an occasion, Bani Zaid would invite the prestigious and powerful Bani Hashim tribe from the city of Shustar. On the day of the nuptials, Caliph positioned himself on the road where the men of Bani Hashim would pass. He greeted them with the hospitality of a king, saying, "I am Caliph of Bani Hassan, and I have a request I pray you will not deny. I desire for you to take your evening meal at my board." The men of Bani Hashim demurred, explaining they were bound for the wedding at Bani Zaid. Yet, Caliph persisted with such nobility that they eventually relented, promising to come to his home to sleep and take breakfast after the festivities had concluded. Caliph then sought out a kinsman named Ali and instructed him, "Do not sleep tonight. Stay near, for I shall call for you." When the wedding celebrations ended, the Bani Hashim party arrived at Caliph's home as promised. Caliph welcomed them, engaging them in the recitation of poetry and the telling of epic tales until sleep finally claimed them. While his guests slumbered, Caliph slipped away to Ali. "Come," he commanded. They moved through the darkness until they neared the encampment of Bani Zaid. Caliph turned to Ali and said, "Wait for me here. If the sun rises and I have not returned, go to our tribe and tell them Caliph is with Bani Zaid, be he living or dead. But if I return, speak to no one of what transpired." Caliph reached the tent of Sheikh Faisal. The sheikh was plunged into a deep sleep, exhausted from the wedding preparations, yet he wore his rifle and its belt across his chest, even in rest. Caliph lunged at him, and the sheikh awoke in a panic. "Who is there?" "Is it you, Caliph?" The challenger replied, "Yes, Faisal." "You dare to say we are not men?" A desperate struggle for the rifle ensued. Caliph knew that time was a luxury he did not possess. Should the sheikh cry out, the entire tribe would descend upon him. He had intended to take the rifle without bloodshed, but in the heat of the struggle, he was forced to draw his blade and strike the sheikh through the heart. "You have slain me, Caliph," the sheikh gasped. Caliph replied, "I sought only the rifle to prove that the men of Bani Hassan are no cowards, but you earned this end." Seizing the weapon, Caliph retreated to Ali, once again swearing him to secrecy. He reached his home an hour before the dawn, washed the blood from his knife and garments, and slipped back among his sleeping guests. When the call to the far prayer echoed, Caliph woke the men of Bani Hashim, prayed with them, and served a generous breakfast. They departed 2 hours later. On their journey home, they heard the shocking news. Sheikh Faisal had been murdered, and the stolen rifle of Bani Hassan was gone. When suspicion fell upon Caliph, the noble men of Bani Hashim stepped forward as witnesses. "Do not wrong the man," they declared. "We spent the entire night under his roof. We prayed the dawn prayer with him and broke bread at his table. We are witnesses to his innocence." Because of the unimpeachable testimony of Bani Hashim, Caliph was exonerated, and Bani Zaid was left in a state of bewildered grief, unable to identify the killer. 15 years passed. Ali, the kinsman who had waited in the dark, prepared to embark on the Hajj pilgrimage. It was the sacred custom in Awaz that before one journeys to the Holy Land, he must cleanse his soul of secrets and speak only the truth. Ali went to the elders of Bani Zaid and confessed. It was Caliph who slew Sheikh Faisal and reclaimed the rifle. "I was the witness to his deed." The elders of Bani Zaid summoned the other tribes and confronted Caliph. With the same courage he had shown that moonlit night, Caliph stood tall. "Yes," he admitted, "I am the one who killed him. He did not see us as men, and though I intended only to take the rifle, his arrogance left me no choice." Tribal councils were convened to adjudicate the long-standing blood debt. It was decreed that Bani Hassan would pay the daya, blood money, though the sum was mitigated because Sheikh Faisal had been the initial aggressor who provoked the dishonor. Furthermore, to ensure that the animosity was buried forever, it was mandated that 3 women from Bani Hassan be wed to men of Bani Zaid, one of whom was to be a close relative of Caliph. Through this bond of kinship, the feud was extinguished, and peace was restored. Lessons and insights derived from the story. The consequence of hubris. Sheikh Faisal met a tragic end because he allowed his power to blind him, leading him to scorn the dignity of others. Valor and strategic wit. Caliph demonstrated that true strength is not just in the arm, but in the mind. By hosting Bani Hashim, he secured an unimpeachable alibi while performing a feat of incredible daring. The sanctity of honor. In the Arab tradition, death is often seen as more palatable than living under the shadow of cowardice or tribal shame. Kinship as a resolution to strife. The custom of intermarriage, mizahara, served as a vital tool in tribal law to transform enemies into in-laws, effectively washing away the blood of the past. The equality of men. The narrative reinforces the truth that no tribe is superior by virtue of numbers or wealth. True merit lies in character and the courage to defend one's right. The burden of testimony. While the men of Bani Hashim spoke the truth as they saw it, Caliph's eventual confession highlights the spiritual necessity of clearing one's conscience before the ultimate meeting with the Creator. If you enjoyed the story, support us by liking and subscribing to the channel to see more.